If they running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight, new content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde, keep on bringing the heat. Now they know that we driven, and they know we ain't quitting. Yoshi and the winner, keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If you know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back Slaughter, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say out here underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 Divine Winters, Clyde Winters, Mind Bender, Clyde Winters, I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde Winters, give respect to the elder, Clyde Winters. I somebody else that living for me. I told you somebody else that looking for me. I think there's somebody else that looking for me. I think there's somebody else that looking for me.
We have to live on that. We have to live on that. I have not done wrong. I have not robbed. I have not stolen. I have not drank. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I have not wronged the I have not struck dead. I have not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the tongue. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winters.
What up, though? What up, though? Yes, sirs. Yes, sirs. I got to keep my dukes up. Why? I got to keep my dukes up because we in a fight, baby. We're in a war. Got to learn how to jab. Give him that uppercut, baby. Then hit him with that left. Knock him out. Knock him out. Why? I'm going to tell you why, Dorville. Ancient Black Spirituality, Roy Wooter, Joan Carmante, Eugene Braxton. What up, though? Listen, we're in a war. We're in a war because people like to believe that foundational Black Americans are just waiting to be led. They feel that we're waiting to be led. They don't understand that we're Black and we're brilliant. This is what I got from Dorville. we're black and we're brilliant. Yes, we're black and we're brilliant. But you see a lot of people, they're talking about this voting. They got to vote for Kamala Harris, or they got to vote for Trump. You know, to me, you should vote for the couch, baby. Vote for the couch. Because, see, none of these people are offering us anything. They're not offering us nothing. See? So why do foundational Black Americans vote? We vote for 3 reasons. Number 1, fear. You know, we fear that if we don't vote, in a sense, we fear in a sense is that somehow something's going to happen to us. We vote out of habit. Well, my mama voted Democratic, so I'm gonna vote Democrat because I got to do it. And then we the third one is a bandwagon effect. You know, we want to follow the crowd. We feel that who's ever looking the best, whoever looked like they might win. Well, I want to be in that number. I want to follow those people. You see, but those are wrong reasons to vote. But those are the reasons we vote. You know, we're always being constantly infected with CAIDS, you know, culturally acquired immune deficiency identity syndrome. Yes. We're constantly, in a sense, being exposed to this deadly disease. And this deadly disease comes from the fact is that many of us will not accept who we are. Many of us fail to love ourselves and to love our people, to love our families. You know, I remember back in the day, I was reading the Bible, and then the Bible said, hey, you get a blessing if you help people in your family. I thought that was the stupidest issue you could find. I said, why would God say that you could be successful and you'll be granted, in a sense, blessings by helping your family? I just took it for granted that everybody could help their family. But as I became older, I began to see that it's not like that. Many people do not want to support their family members. You know, many people do not want to support their ethnic group, you see. And as a result, many of us are lost. You see, we fail to understand is that we're FBA. We're FBA, Foundational Black Americans. Yes. As FBA, we're a product of an ethnogenesis, you know, in which Black Aboriginals, Black Europeans, and Sub-Saharan Africans became FBA, yes, became Foundational Black Americans. And I'm kind of very proud of that because of our uniqueness, because of our unique heritage, because of our interest in doing the right thing, we become the world culture. That's right, the world culture, the music, the foods, everything. Mostly everything is based upon our culture. Maybe not so much the food because, you know, food is kind of, is consequential, but the music, you know, I mean, the entire civilization today is based upon our inventions. It's based upon the fact that we were able, in a sense, to harness electricity. We were able, in a sense, to create the telephone. And so people, in a sense, today are basically, in a sense, you know, living off the work of our ancestors, living off the work of Foundational Black Americans. And see, it is very important that you understand this. One of the problems that many of us have is that we don't understand the FBA roots. But, you know, Yoshimar the genius, he made a very interesting video. And in this video, he talks about FBA roots. So I'm going to just play that video. This is by Yoshimar the genius.
FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. Oh, no need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. The Moors once ruled from woman to man. In Europe's heart, they wanted our land. Dr. Clyde reveals the hidden past, where blackness thrived, a vivid past. No need
Being black is bold, cultures blended, histories merged. A bond of funk, our souls converge. European tales, they twist it well to hide the truth, but their plans soon fail. See, Dr. Clyde's light shines beyond bright. We the black aboriginals are righteous in this fight. Are righteous in this fight. European tales, they twist it well. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. Face FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots.
You can get a copy. You can get a copy of that at Gumroad. Go to gumroad.com and get a copy of that, because see, that's a beautiful, in a sense, video by Yoshima the Genius. Because see, we have to understand who we are and what we are. I come here every Thursday for one reason and one reason only. And I come to you every Thursday to talk about our history here in the Americas, our history around the world. Why? Because I want you to understand is that we are a unique people. Black people are unique people. We're a people in the sense that God granted grace, that God granted mercy. Yeah, we talk about slavery. Yes, slavery was a very terrible thing. And I'm glad I wasn't a slave. But I'll be damned if you'll make me a slave today. I'll fuck you up. That's just the way it is. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel, you see. And you had to feel the same way. You had to understand that our future can only come from learning our history. Our future can only come from going in a sense and making sure that we learn how and why we study the things we study. Because see, our roots are variable. Our roots are very important, you know. And see, what we don't understand is that we have to fight. We have to, in a sense, make sure that our children know their roots. And the only way they can know their roots is through Black studies. And the only way you can get Black studies is that you have to, in a sense, come. You know, on this site, I have over 400 videos. And these 400 videos are all aimed at Black history. You know, that's why, yeah, I'm happy that you guys come every week and you join me on Thursday. And on Thursday, you hear me talk about history, but I want you also, in a sense, to understand that we have to go through this process. Dorvell says, Dr. Winters, have you been boxing? I see you got your hands wrapped. I got to always be ready, baby. I had to keep my hands wrapped because I'm always fighting white supremacy. That's why I got this on. We're fighting white supremacy. You know, I might fight it with my tongue, but I got to also have that uppercut. You know that. Bam, baby. Bam, bam. Because, see, it's only by fighting with truth, justice, that we can ever find our way, you know. We can never find our way, you know, because, see, we have to, in a sense, look and be proud of our roots as FBA. We also, in a sense, have to look at our Black history curriculum. Yes, we have to have a Black history curriculum, and it's through having a Black history curriculum that can allow us, in a sense, to be able to know more about our history, you know. And this is what we have to do, you see. And that's why I spent years and years working on not just teaching you history, but also I've been working on developing, in a sense, a Black history curriculum. Yes, a Black history curriculum. This is brought out in a very interesting video by Yoshima the Genius. Again, this is something that I'd like you to look at and really think about this.
That schools won't. by Jada Prasad. Many schools are now voting to remove the teaching of Black history from K-12 education. Not many schools require the teaching of Black history in the first place. Governor DeSantis of Florida has been one of the major proponents of removing Black history from Florida public schools. Now many Florida schools are trying to rewrite history and tell the story of slavery in a way that will make white students more comfortable. Black history has never been a requirement in public schools in general. The banning of teaching it just puts it in writing to send a specific message to us. The government does not want our children to grow up with a high sense of self-worth, or what Amos Wilson called the holistic self-concept. When I was in middle school and high school, I don't remember ever learning about Black history in depth. There were usually a couple paragraphs in our textbooks about slavery and then a small discussion on the civil rights movement. The regular names like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks were briefly mentioned in my history classes. I definitely never learned about our ancient history in school. There were never any discussions on ancient Egypt, Kushites, Ethiopia. We never learned that Black people inhabited every continent and built civilizations around the world. Due to this lack of teaching, I was unaware of our true history until I started researching for myself once I was in college. I went to a majority Black school, so I had the opportunity to see the impact that the lack of Black history had on myself and my peers. Many of my peers were disengaged with the material that we were learning. Most of the world history focused on European countries. When children do not see themselves reflected in the material, they will not be interested in it. Why should they be? By not teaching Black history in schools, our children are being told that they did not contribute to society in any positive manner except when they were slaves. Starting Black history at slavery can make our youth feel inferior. It is important that our children learn that we were actually the first to build civilization. This will give our children the foundation to understand who we are. We should expect nothing different from those that continue to oppress and create a system in which they attain fake superiority. We know that they will not teach our children in the proper manner. It is our responsibility to make sure our youth are being nurtured and taught the proper curriculum in their homes. This should start at a very young age. When our children see themselves positively reflected in literature, history, arts, and civilization, they will develop a higher sense of self. It will also make them more interested in reading and learning. Black children need to have the proper mental stimulation because their minds develop at a faster rate than others. To do this, we must create an at-home curriculum for our children. To develop this at-home curriculum, I am going to give book recommendations to you all for our youth to read at each age group. Our youth should be reading a book a week according to the Honorable Marcus Garvey. It is also important that children see their parents reading books. These books can open up a great dialogue between you and your children. It will take everyone off of their devices and stimulate their minds.
You know, this is very true that we have to do this. I over the years I've taught Afrocentric history for years. I taught in the occasionally in the public schools, but in high school I taught it. But then when I went down to teaching upper grade, they always said they wanted to teach Black history, but they never got around to it. So I mainly used to teach U.S. history, a little Afrocentric, a little Afro-American history every year. But we need this. When I was going to school, I was able at DuSable. We had it when I was in high school. Joanne said, teaching Black history is our responsibility. The public schools just water it down and lie anyway. They should stop trying to teach it. I don't know if they should stop trying to teach it, but you are right. We have to, in a sense, do this. Maybe I will do a video on and I'll talk about a Black history curriculum. I'll talk about some of the stuff that I've done and how you can go through this process. But how you doing, Natty? But the thing is, this is that we do need this. We do need this. And what I've done over the years is that I've written many curriculums. In fact, when I was at Governor State University, I used to teach curriculum. And as in teaching curriculum, I used to teach many teachers in the Chicagoland, how to conduct research and how to create a curriculum, that they could use in a sense in their schools. And you know, I did the same thing. In fact, if you join my Patreon, you can see where in a sense in my Patreon I have various Black history curriculums. You know, a lot of people will say, well, why don't you just put it on the air? Well, hey, you know, the thing is this is that I may do a video on that, but see, a curriculum is usually something that's written out, and because it's written out, you go through a process of explaining how you teach it. You see, when you have a curriculum, whenever you're working on a curriculum, you know, the curriculum lays out the plan. See, a curriculum is a teaching plan. It tells you what to teach, how to teach it, and the resources that you can use to teach that particular subject. You see, if you join my Patreon, you can get a copy of my Black history curriculum. And the thing is that this will allow you to be able to teach, you know, positively, and also you can kind of learn it too. You know, I've written several books that deal with curriculum that can help you to be able, in a sense, to teach people in a sense about curriculum. But the most important thing that I've found is that we need, in a sense, to spend more time and understand that it's only through our children that we can have a future, you know. And how you doing, Eve? And by understanding that it's only through our future. Thank you guys for sending me these cash apps. But anyway, it's only through our teaching our children about their history that they can have the knowledge and they can have the understanding. Because see, a lot of people say, why do you teach history? You teach history because history allows you to situate yourself in this civilization. It also explains to you what you can do and the possibilities. You see, there's great possibilities that you're offered as a result of knowing your history. You know, and it's very important in a sense that we teach our children our history. We teach our children in a sense, and that we make these curriculums. You know, I remember for years, you know, Greg Carr and some of the other people in a sense at some of the other people at you know, the so-called Howard Group and all that, they've always been talking about that they need to write a history, a world history of Black people. They never wrote the world history. They've been talking about the world history for 20 years, but I wrote a world history. In my book, and I've written a world history of Black people, you see. Because see, I don't just talk about it, you got to do it. And see, we had to get out there, and we have to, in a sense, we have to make sure that we begin, in a sense, to teach our children their true history and allow them to understand who and what they are. You know, it's time, in a sense, that we refrain from, in a sense, waiting for Europeans to teach our children, when the only way that our children will know their history is to go through a process of teaching them that history. So again, you know, go to my Patreon, and when you go to my Patreon, you'll be able, in a sense, to see. You'll be able to see one of the curriculum guides. I've also got movie guides. I've got movie guides in my Patreon, and these movie guides, what I do is that these movie guides, I show you how you can use many of the films on my Afrocentric History website that you're on now, that you can use, in a sense, to teach you know, kids about various aspects of our history. But again, in a sense, tonight we're going to basically talk about, in a sense, you know, we're going to talk about, you know, the Meroitic religion. So I'm going to get into that right now, you know. Whites wish they knew about Nubian Meroitic religion. Yes, they do. They do. You know, because see, a lot of times they've been looking at the Meroitic religion from the outside. But I deciphered the Meroitic language years ago. And because I deciphered the Meroitic language, it allows me to read the inscriptions. And because I can read the inscriptions, I'm able to tell you what's written in those texts. You know, a lot of times Europeans, they always teach that the Meroitic script and other scripts that I've deciphered are not deciphered. And the reason they say that is because, you know, they want everything had to come from a European or a white person. And they don't want people to know that if a black person like me can decipher these ancient languages or write this ancient history, then that means in a sense that we're somebody. They don't want you to believe you're somebody. They want you to believe in a sense that you should wait for them to tell you your history, that you should wait for them in a sense to show you. They don't want you to understand that black people know their history, that black people can learn their history, that black people can teach each other their history. They don't want you to do that. No, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to have any belief, any faith, that you can have any agency in your whole life and your experiences. And that's why, in a sense, they try to make you run away from studying history. That's why, in a sense, they want to always tell you what your history is so that they can teach you their lies. You can go to my Patreon to see the slides. Once I do this presentation, I'm going to put the slides in my Patreon. So join my Patreon. My Patreon is very important because my Patreon allows me to bring each week a very interesting program to you. It's the members of my Patreon that support my research. They support my research. It's only $5 a month. Now, I mean, just think about that. $5 a month. That's less than buying a coffee. Yes, it's less than buying a coffee. If you go to Starbucks, you know, just a regular coffee is about $5. See, and you know, if you want to get a special, there's $7, $8, $9, $10. See, but you can join my Patreon for $5. Join my Patreon. The slides will be in my Patreon. You can join me on Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. You know, and you're on my YouTube channel. This is my YouTube channel. You can order my books on Amazon.com. Please support my books. Please support my movies. My videos. Don't just come here for my lives. Also come and look at some of my other videos. Get an understanding of history, you know. Again, you can join my Patreon and get a copy of the Black History curriculum that I've written. FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestral pedigree. As a result, we went through an ethnogenesis. Yes. We went through an ethnogenesis. We are descendants of the African, Black Europeans, and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. You know what? If you want to learn more about the Meroitic language, you can get my book, Meroitic Writing and Literature. You can get the Meroitic Chamber of Philae. You can get the Kushite Prince, Akinadad. You can get my book, Archaeological Decipherments. And in this book, Archaeological Decipherments, I talk about all the decipherments and all the ancient languages I deciphered. And of course, get my book, Meroitic Relations with Tocharian and the Nile Valley Languages. In this book, I provide the proof. I provide the receipts that shows that I have deciphered the Meroitic language. I show the relationship of Meroitic to other languages that are spoken in the Sudan today. So if you really want to understand more about why we can read Meroitic today, get my book, Meroitic Relations with Tocharian and the Nile Valley Languages. And if you want to read various translations of the Meroitic text, get my other books. You know, Meroitic Writing and Literature, the Meroitic Chamber of Philae, the Kushite Prince, Akinadad, Archaeological Decipherments of Ancient Scripts, and Meroitic Relations with Tocharian and the Nile Valley Languages. Get these books if you want to learn more about the Meroitic language. We have been taught a history of lies, a history where we are the victims of white racism. These lies teach us that we are a people too weak to defend ourselves because the natural superiority of the European race over the so-called primitive African, whose emotionalism makes it impossible for them to do anything about the guidance and direction of the Europeans. Yes. That's what they think. That's why they don't believe that you can write history. They don't believe that you can study history. They don't believe that we can decipher ancient languages because they teach you these lies because they want to make you feel that you have no agency in your own history. They want to make you feel that you have to turn to them if you want to know who and what you are. But today we're going to talk about the Meroitic religion. The Meroites, although archaeologists provide us with many interesting details of Meroitic civilization, we know very little about the Meroitic people and their religious beliefs. because of our former inability to read the Meroitic script. I discussed the Meroitic religion in my book, Meroitic Writing and Literature. We have had to make inferences about the religion of the Meroites because of our inability to read Meroitic texts. Miller in 1984 noted that, I quote, "Without the evidence of the still unintelligible written documents, we find ourselves in the awkward position of making inferences about Meroitic religion from cultural behavior, rather than, as most historians can, drawing conclusions about cultural values from religion." Yes. This is what they thought. But because of my decipherment of the Meroitic language, and you can read about my decipherment of Meroitic language and how to read the Meroitic script in my book, Meroitic Writing and Literature, we can go into more detail. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go into detail about the Meroitic religion. But now that we know the cognitive language for Meroitic, which was Tocharian, we can now illuminate the interesting religion of the Meroites. The Meroitic texts help us to understand the social values of the Meroites. These texts make it apparent that Meroites wanted to be known by their piety and generosity to their gods. As a result, the Meroites left many monuments and offering tablets, expressing their devotion to their gods. The Meroitic inscriptions on the stela and offering tablets were written to indicate that the departed Meroite wanted to secure a blessed life in the afterworld. The Meroites were very concerned about the afterlife. They left in their tombs funerary literature and grave goods to assure for themselves everlasting life. The Meroite elites and royals were buried under pyramids. The walls of chapels associated with the pyramids include reliefs reflecting Egyptian scenes and vignettes from the Book of the Dead at Baghrawiya North and Jebel Barkal. Other well-to-do Meroites were buried in small brick superstructures. In the attached small chapel, the offering table and funerary stela was sometimes housed. The Meroitic mortuary offerings reflected many objects the Meroites would use in the afterworld. They inscribed on painted ba, statues, stela, and offering tables with cursive Meroitic. The utilitarian items of everyday use by the Meroites were placed in the tomb, while the ba, statuettes, and stela were often placed outside the tomb. The offering tables were used to make libations in behalf of the deceased after his interment. They were made of sandstone and shaped either rectangular or square. The tables measured anywhere between 10 and 14 inches in length, with a recessed center surrounded by a raised border. The offering tablets and funerary stela often include carved designs and inscriptions. The inscriptions were in Meroitic. The most popular designs on the tables include loaves of bread and the mortuary gods Anubis and Nephthys. The artifacts found near the tombs of rich Meroites include ba statuettes. The ba statuettes, often made in the shape of humans with folded wings, were usually placed in front of the tomb. It was made in this way to represent the free and mobile nature of the ba, which was supposed to soar into the sky. The ba was recognized as a soul, which possessed mobility. The term ba represented the ability of the deceased person's spirit to move from the grave and implore the gods for passage and protection of the ka to the underworld. The Meroitic funerary imagery indicates that the Meroites sovereigns identified with many Egyptian deities, including Amun, Osiris, and Isis. Four gods dominate the Meroite religion: Osiris, Isis, Amun, and Apidamak. Osiris and Isis command the Meroitic funerary universe. The Meroitic temple cult was centered on Amun, Apidamak, and Isis. On the right-hand side, you can see some of the depictions of the various gods. We learn from the Tanya Damani stela that Amun of the Egyptians, was recognized as the supreme creator, god, and originator of the king. It appears that Isis was responsible for giving the dead person's ka, or abstract personality of man, permission to leave the tomb for paradise. Osiris was the god who guides the deceased person's ka to one of the many afterworlds mentioned in the Meroitic funerary tablets. Osiris was the god who guides the deceased person's Ka to one of the many afterworlds. The Meroitic funerary inscriptions have the following order. 1. The invocation to Isis and Osiris, the Meroitic gods of the dead. 2. The name of the deceased. And 3. The obituary. Obviously, the Meroitic language in the funerary text include many Egyptian cognates. For example, in Meroitic we have ki, and this corresponds to Egyptian Kat, the body or external body or spirit. Ka, Ha, which corresponds to the Egyptian word Ka, the abstract personality of man, and Ko, Ho, which corresponds to He or Ku, the shining, translucent spirit soul. The Ku was supposed to reside in heaven when a man dies. The Meroitic inscriptions, there's constant mention of the Ke, the Ka, the Ko, and the Ba soul. The Ka was seen as the supreme offering of the deceased. It was to be taken along the Ate path to be judged by Isis and Osiris as eligible for rebirth. The Ate was the path taken by the Ka's accent to rebirth. The Ka was seen as the supreme offering of the deceased. It was to be taken along the Ate, or path, to be judged by Isis and Osiris as eligible for rebirth. The Ate was the path taken by the Ka's accent to rebirth. In the archaic Meroitic text, we find mention of the Imlo, the inner heart. The Malo, or Imlo, is often referred to as the Malo Oil, the grand inner heart. The heart of the departed Meroitic was therefore weighed for goodness. The Meroitic text indicates that the Malo was supposed to determine if the Meroitic piety was great enough to guarantee his Ka's transmigration. It would appear from the Tanya Damani text that the good of a man was believed to be contained in the inner heart. The migration of the inner heart from the tomb, full of the deceased person's Ka, was meant to elevate the good Meroitic to a high status. This indicates that the deceased Meroitic was supposed to be free of wrongdoing and a full supporter of the divine order if he was to enter the afterworld kingdom of Osiris. Thusly, the Imlo Oil was recognized as a guide down the path, or Ate, to a new vivification of the deceased. The Malo Oil was the guide sent ahead of the Ka to ensure the departed person's rebirth. This was necessary because of the deceased person's Ka and Malo Oil were found to be full of Nane, goodness. He was granted a revitalized soul and rebirth. It would appear that a major function of the Shaka was to also prop up good. The Shaka was therefore often made as an offering to the Meroitic gods. It appears from the Meroitic inscription text that the Ho would remain with the body until its flesh decayed. Then it would wither away, leave the tomb, or hunt it. The deceased person usually requested that Isis and Osiris escorted the Ho safely to one of the Meroitic afterworlds. In the funerary inscriptions, we also find much mention of the Ba or Be. I have interpreted the term Ba as soul. The Ba unites the conception of the Ha and the Ha or Ho. The best place to find this term in Meroitic funerary literature include the Tanya Damani, Armina West, and Karnak stelas. In the Tanya Damani stela, for example, the Ba, Am, and Ka had to play specific roles. In the ancient Meroitic text, the term meant spirit, soul. In the late and transitional Meroitic text, there's very little mention of the Am. The Ko replaced it. In the Tanya Damani stela, line 146, we discovered that the Saka, spirit body, and the Ka were to be released from the body to protect his soul. Upon release, the Shaka, was to prop up goodness. It was also supposed to be an offering to the Meroitic gods. In the picture on the right-hand side, you can see the lion god Epidemic, of the Merodes. The spirit body of the king was a sustained good at the burial site. For example, the Bab Tanya Damani was to remain at Jebel Barkal. Tanya Damani Stela, lines 30-34, reads that for a period of time, continuing to serve Amun, while it represented a talisman of blessings for the pilgrims that visited his tomb. According to the Tanya Damani Stela, line 139, the Bab was a gift to Amun. This may explain the placement of the Merodi carved items, such as the Ba statue and funerary tablets, outside the Merodi tombs. Placement outside the tomb probably tolerated the Ba's effortless access to flight. In the late Merodic text, the Ba was no longer forced to stay at the tomb. In these inscriptions, it is made clear that the Ba retired to Ba'ane. On the right-hand side, you can see a traditional Merodic funerary, stellar tablet. Many Merodic gods were formerly worshipped in Egypt. These gods include Isis, Osiris, Mash, Bes, Nephthys, and Anubis. Other Merodic gods were of Merodic origin. These gods include Apidamak and Seba-Waymaker, or Sabo-Maker. Seba-Waymaker is believed to have been recognized as the creator god by some southern Merodes. The lion god Apidamak was the warrior god. In the stelas and offering tables of the Merodes, we find mention of various characteristics of their gods, but there are two sacred inscriptions which provide us with important information about the Merodic gods, which we will discuss in detail below. The principal gods of the Merodes were Amun. This would explain the establishment of large Amun temples at Jebel Barkal and Meroe. The center of Amun worship was Napata. Amun, the hidden god, was closely connected to Merodic kingship. As a result, there are Amun temples in Meroe City, Napata, and Kawa. Millet believes that the Merodic king was probably recognized as a trusted and privileged paramount agent of the gods, than either their brother or their servant. The Merodic inscriptions, on the other hand, make it clear that both Merodic king and commoners all recognize themselves as Shah, or servant, or patrons of the gods. Napata was the main religious center of the Kushites. Jebel Barkal was both the companion site of Napata and the sacred mountain of the city of Napata. It was identified as the holy southern abode of the god Amun. Jebel Barkal was considered the southernmost center for Amun worship in North Africa. Resner excavated this rock outcrop between 1913 and 1916. Amun had long been worshipped by the Kushites. The Kushites, the Sea Group people of Kerma, first worshipped Amun long before the founding of the temple of Amun at Jebel Barkal. Many of the Merodic kings were buried at Jebel Barkal. The Egyptians called Jebel Barkal Dawewemba, the holy mountain. At the foot of Jebel Barkal, the Egyptians erected the great temple of Amun in the 15th century BC. Amun was recognized by the Kushites as the supreme creator god, the god of the sun and progenitor of the king. In addition to Amun, the Kushites also worshipped the Egyptian gods Isis and Osiris. The goddess Isis watched over the rites of metamorphosis, while Osiris was supposed to lead the dead to paradise. Amun was also referred to as Amani, or Amanape, or Amanape. The term Amanape probably should be interpreted as Amunpane, or Amun, the foundation of good. The Merodes often called the god Amun Amani. Amani was recognized as the creator of the Kushites and supporter of all existence in the inscriptions from Amarna West. The Merodes recognized Amun as the god that inclined man towards good. Amun was also considered a guide to the rebirth. The Merodes believed that Amun had the ability to make his Shah, patron or supporter, a sign of honor. In the Amarna West inscription, we see the following passage: Siye kwowene, nate ne amani senia boya, or in translation, content to live everlasting, bowing in reverence to Amani, who is supporting now all existence. Yes, yes, yes. The most popular god in the Meroitic text were Isis and Osiris. On the offering tables, we also find the goddesses Nephthys and the god Anubis, depicted pouring libations for the departed. Among the Meroites, Osiris was recognized as the maker of merit. He was also the guide to the Meroitic afterworld. It would appear that the Woshi, or Isis, was responsible for giving the dead person's Ka the right to leave for paradise, while she watched over other aspects of the metamorphosis of the Meroitic king into the Ka, the Ba, the Ke, and the Yam. It would appear that Woshi, Isis, was responsible for giving the dead person's Ka the right to leave the paradise, while she watched over other aspects of the metamorphosis of Meroitic kings, including the Ka, the Ba, the Ke, and the Yam. Woshi was responsible for the deceased person's transmigration. It was Isis or Woshi who authorized a new vivification for the departed in Amana West, Stella number 1, side B, lines 14 through 15. We discovered that Tesane Woshe Peakeo, or bring the new vivification, Isis, give its foundation, make its authorization. In line 15, we read Saneel Kete Heno Ne El Hari, the new vivification to give birth to the Ka, anew in truth and dignity. This is an interesting stela, and this stela, in a sense, it was found in the Meroitic tomb, and this stela is about this woman. And I'm not going to go through the Meroitic table. I'm just going to read the translation. Give noble renewal, Isis, to the new vivification. Give renewal. Give its erection. Reflect on the patron and guide good prosperity on the good path indeed. Desire the patron bestow of a rebirth to resound in Henel. Goodness comes into being as an object of respect for the patron. Give existence to the new vivification. Go now and give its leave. Fashion wonderment and order, O Isis. You will commence to make wonderment in abundance. The good supporter even goes to wipe out much non-existence. The hero to behold all. Act now to bear approbation. You give guidance and nourishment. This is done by transmigration. Give its existence. The disciple indeed to reflect on Isis, the good, and puts on you guidance. Isis leads. She commences to arrange your transmigration. Arrange now the gift, the patron of Isis. She is to be exalted like new. Spread the bequeval of the hero in a pile. Raise to arrange the guide and guide us to honor, O Isis. Much praise goes forth. Isis is to also bring authorization for the new vivification. The new vivification to give birth to the Ka anew. Truth and dignity. The patron has permission to realize it. Isis is to make it happen for the good patron, the ancestor, and the commander. Epitimac, the second most popular god in Meroe, was Epitimac. He is associated with the Epitimac temple at Musawarat at Sufra. Anakamani built his temple there. In Musawarat, we find the first references to Arinaturipo and Sebewa Maker, two other gods worshipped by the Meroites. The most interesting Meroitic text concerning Epitimac is found on the votive tablet of Tani Damani, which is now found in the Paris Museum. On the votive tablet, Tani Damani is depicted on the obverse side and the god Epitimac on the reverse side. On the reverse side of Tani Damani votive tablet, the god Epitimac is depicted, wearing a short apron and hem crown. On this votive tablet, Epitimac also wears armlets, bracelets, a collar, and pectoral. Inside a panel in front of Epitimac, we find a cursive Meroitic inscription. The inscription in the panel on the reverse side of the votive tablet of King Tani Damani make it clear that the king acknowledged the important role the god Epitimac played in his life. These inscriptions can be read either from right to left or top to bottom. Reading from right to left, we read, you, it is Epidemic, who gives guidance. Revitalize support for me, King Tanya Damani. You guide me to satisfaction and much reverence for your patron. Give it amicably to me. May it go forth. The transliteration on the reverse side of the tablet of the king. Wakabato tedete, ete to me tedemanel, toeye sakari. And it reads, O Epidemic, guide and make honor for your patron. Give her your full measure of good and deed. It is thou, Epidemic, who gives leave to eminence for your patron. Amisemi is the wife of Epidemic, the lion god. She was represented with a crown shaped as a falcon, or with a crescent moon on her head, on top of which a falcon was standing. You can see Amisemi in the stela on the left-hand side. You can see the falcon with the crescent moon on top of the head. The god Mash. Mash or Mush was a local Meroitic god. The Meroites believed that Mash was able to bestow on his Shah patron honor, atonement, rebirth, and dignity. In the Armana West Stela, one side B, lines 11 and 12, we discover that Mash ene, pasi sekes nia. Mash give him contentment, and he will support justice for the patron. Temash ene pa shikra kesneye. This Mash is to give him gladness. Certainly justice goes forth. In the Tanya Damani Stela, I have translated Mash, MS, as Mash, the name of the Meroitic sun god. Mash is often referred to as Mash Lini, the exalted Mash, or Mash Ne, Mash the good, in the Tanya Damani Stela. The Meroites were very interested in the migration of his spiritual forms to everlasting life in the afterworld. In Meroitic texts, we find mention of numerous afterworlds where the Meroite hoped to perpetuate his continued existence. These afterworlds were sought by the righteous Meroite as reward for the good deeds he had done on earth. It appears that each spiritual entity had its own afterworld in which it hoped rebirth and or a new vivification. In Meroite inscriptions, the dead often request that the Ko be sent to Kanepe or Kanepha. Karipaka is frequently mentioned in the archaic Meroitic inscriptions. According to the Tanya Damani Stela, line 55, the Yam was to unlock rebirth in Karapa, good Karapaka. The new vivification of deceased was to take place in Karafim, where he would be protected from harm. Kanepi is often found in the Meroitic text. The reading of Meroitic text indicates that Kanepi may have been a stopover point for the Ba or Bed, the soul, and Ko on their way to their final resting place. There's also mention of an afterworld called Kinero. The Ba would usually remain near the tomb, while the Ko migrated to a place called Hanil. In Stela number 2 from Armana West, line number 12, we read the following: Tepoke Nando, Tala Kanepi, Pisit Kava Ketkes, to announce in a lofty voice the acquisition of the extreme limits of Kanepi. Be content to reflect on the Ba, the Ke might immigrates. In Stela number 1 from Armana West, side B, line number 13, we also find a similar phrase. Tepokene dote nipe, announced in a lofty voice the acquisition of the extreme limit of Kanepi. There's also mention in Meroitic inscriptions of a place called Bene. It would appear that Bene was probably the place where the Ba spirit of the deceased person dwelled after death, if it left the grave. The object of the Meroitic obituaries were probably aimed at getting the Ba of the dead to migrate to Bane rather than hunt the grave. In conclusion, Meroitic texts help us understand the social values of the Meroites. They aid us in understanding the popular and elitist view of the Meroitic religion and deities. The funerary manuscripts of the Meroites explain the legacy of Meroitic religion on succeeding cultures in Nubia. They manifest a religion that, although modeled after many Egyptian religious ideas, include many elements that were of Meroitic origin. Again, you can buy one of my books on the Meroitic language, which I deciphered. These include Meroitic writing and literature, the Meroitic chamber at Philae, the Kushite prince Akinadad, archaeological decipherment of ancient writing systems. In this book, I discuss all of my decipherments, Proto-Elamite, Proto-Sumerian, etc. And Meroitic relation with Tocharian and Nile Valley languages. In Meroitic relations with Tocharian and the Nile Valley languages, I explain and I show the relationship between the Meroitic writing system and languages spoken in the Sudan today. You can go to Patreon to see the slides. You can join me on Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. Again, you're on my YouTube channel. Check out many of the videos here. On my YouTube channel, I have many videos, over 400 videos on every aspect of Black history. You can order my books at Amazon.com. B1, Black First. We have to be B1. It's only by being B1 that we can really have, in a sense, an understanding of who we are, an understanding of where we're going, because, see, you had to be B1. Yes, Lindy Tillman, B1. Zachary Holmes, B1. We have to be B1. It's only through being B1 that we're able, in a sense, to manifest who and what we are. Yes, we have to do this because, see, it's being B1 that will allow us to grow and allow us to be all that we can be. The only thing that can save you is B1, B1, B1. To fight Cage, you must stay Black first. The only thing that can save you is B1, B1, B1. To fight Cage, you must stay Black first. So true. You have to be B1. You have to, in a sense, be Black first. You have to be Black, and you have to be, in a sense, not just Black, but you also had to be brilliant, because Black means brilliant, you know. Thank you, Ancient Black Spirituality. Great lecture. Your disciple has helped me understand ancient cultures. You know, ancient Black spirituality, it has brought up a very important point. You have to get Jada Prasad's book. Jada Prasad has written a very good book on, in a sense, the various aspects of African spirituality, and in fact, she discusses the Meroitic language in her book. So I hope that you'll try to buy her book.
Collected paths of ancient lore, metaphysical keys to unlock the door. A book written by Jada Prasad with the guided visions of Yoshino. Ancient Black spirituality, galactic celestial symphony, cosmic melanated energy, spirits all within me, our history. Ancient Black spirituality, galactic celestial symphony, cosmic melanated energy, spirits all within me, our history.
The various aspects of Black history, Black religion, and the spiritual meaning of our ways of being. So check out her book. Are there any questions? You can put them in the chat. If you have any questions about the Meroitic religion that you'd like me to answer, you can put them in the chat. And I'll be glad to discuss them if I can answer them. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Go ahead right now. Go up to that like button, and press the bell and subscribe. I'm always looking for more subscribers, and it'll push the algorithms, and it'll get even more people to want to support the various aspects here. Monroe, Mississippi. Jason Lee Patrick. No, it's not Monroe, Mississippi. I'm sorry to tell you that. Those are recent places in Mississippi. I know that some people believe in that, the whole idea that America is the old world. No. America is America. We know where the old world was. So the old world is over across the seas in a sense, But I mean, a lot of people are ignorant, and you can sell those people who believe stuff like that. You can sell them the probably the Brooklyn Bridge, and they'll believe they bought it, Because how can you have thousands and thousands of years and hundreds of years that people, in a sense, they know where the Middle East is, they know where Sumer is, they know where Akkad is, they know where Judea is, and then just because today, in a sense, you have places like Memphis, Tennessee, and people say, oh, that must be the Memphis of Egypt. No. The word for Memphis would be in metaneter. Memphis, that's a Greek word. But again, in a sense, it's sad for many people because they don't know their history. That's why I come to you every week. That's why I come to you every week to try to teach you about our history, And this is very important. Nadi says, yeah, people want to move the Bible stories over here so they can be Hebrews. Yeah, some people do. Some people, anything but black, anything but FBA, they want to do that. You see, but again, in a sense, we have to understand that there's more to life than that. Because see, we have to understand that these places, yes, we have these names, but many of the names that we know, like the word Egypt, they didn't call their land Egypt; they called it Kemetru. So they called themselves the Kemet, the black people. They called their land Kemet, or the black land. You see, but the Egyptians the Greeks, they called the land, in a sense, Egypt, and the people Egyptians. You see, and they even gave Greek names to many of the cities that were situated in ancient Greece. That's why we have the city of Memphis. But the city of Memphis over here is not the ancient Egyptian city. You have to, that's one of the reasons that I come to you every Thursday. I try to come to you every Thursday to share with you the various aspects of our history and culture so you can know the truth. Because, see, we have to teach our children a history that they can find receipts for. You see, we have to teach them the truth. And it's only by teaching them the truth, in a sense, that they can be able to be successful. We want them to understand that they're B1. We want them to understand, in a sense, that who and what they are. And this may mean, in a sense, that we really need to start to homeschool our children, because by homeschooling our children, there's a possibility, in a sense, that they will learn about their history. Today is today. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational Black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool in my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called The World History of the Black World. This will teach your children about every Black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education. Phil Doob. Doob means that's I think it's a Gaelic Celtic word or something that means black. But anyway, what are the ramifications of B1 and generational admixture when we recognize communities by color? They're not recognizing communities by color. You have to understand that black in a sense in Old English meant brilliant. So when you're saying that you're black, you're saying in a sense, when you're saying you're B1, you're saying you're black, but you're also saying you're brilliant. So you're black and brilliant. So you have to understand in a sense what these words mean. See, you have to go and look up these words. For example, when you look at the word Ethiop, we've interpreted that as the black faces, when in reality it means, in a sense, it means not only the black face, but it also means the brilliant, because black also meant brilliant, you see. And what you have to understand is that many of the definitions we get today are definitions that have little meaning for ancient people, you see, have little meaning for ancient people. And that's why, in a sense, you should never be ashamed to be considered or be recognized as a black person, black being. You know, Nadi says B1 is something for everyone to unite around. Yes, it is something for everyone to unite around, because it allows us, in a sense, to not only have a nationality, but also to recognize that we forget that the greatest civilization in existence, the only civilization that lasted for 3,000 years, and I'm talking about the Egyptian civilization, they referred to themselves as the blacks. The coming true, the blacks. They refer to themselves as the black because black does not just mean a color. Black means brilliant. You know, black means brilliant. They said that modern, you say modern FBA are a mixture of a lot of ethnicities. Not really. Modern FBA are a mixture of only three. Yes, they're a mixture of three innocent, only three ethnicities, you know. And what it is that FBA are a product of an ethnogenesis. You see, we're the product of an ethnogenesis in which black Aboriginals, black Europeans, and sub-Saharan Africans became FBA. Yes, we went through an ethnogenesis over here. We have combined the histories of the original people who lived here, along with the black Europeans who were enslaved as chattel slaves, as well as, in a sense, the sub-Saharan Africans who also made chattel slaves. Yes. I'm not talking about the white Irish that came over in the 19th and 20th century. I'm talking about the original Irish, the black Irish that lived in Ireland back in the 1600s and 1500s, in a sense. You know, many of them were killed off by Oliver Cromwell. And Oliver Cromwell, he killed over 200,000 black Irish in Ireland, and he sent over 300,000, yes, 300,000 black Irish he sent into chattel slavery, not into indentured service. No, not in indentured service. Look at some of my earlier videos, and they will explain to you how the first or the black Irish came over here as chattel slaves. They were on the plantations along with Aboriginal in a sense, Aboriginal people. That's one of the reasons why when you see lists of the 5 civilized tribes, you'll see that a lot of the in the Dawes Row, you see a lot of the black, the so-called Aboriginal tribes. They had Irish and British names. That's because many of their ancestors who were made chattel slaves were black Irishmen who would in a sense were enforced into slavery. Natty says in some Old English dictionaries, one of the definitions of black is the color of God, but they have demonized the word black. Yes, they demonized the word black, but they had to demonize the word black because, remember, in a sense, many of the kings. I've talked about it in other lectures. Many of the earliest kings in Britain and in Ireland called themselves the nigger kings because they used nigger as another name for black, and so they referred to themselves as the nigger kings. Not no Niger kings. Some people talk about the ish. That's ish. They call themselves the nigger kings. You see, because they were the black kings and they were proud of black because black did not just represent a color. Black represented the word brilliant. You see, because you got to look at it from this perspective. Is that usually when you associate black with an ember, within a sense a piece of coal. What does a piece of coal do? When you light a piece of coal, it what? It makes a light, right? It makes bright darkness. That's why, in a sense, black in Old English and even in Ethiopian meant not just in a sense black as a color and an adjective. It also, in a sense, meant brilliant. See, and even when you think about the fact that even in ancient Egyptian, when they make the word kamet, they have an ember. And what is it? It's charcoal, because what does charcoal do? Charcoal lights up the night. And so that's one of the reasons why black does not just have a negativity. Black means brilliant. What you had to do is you had to go back and you had to become, in a sense, an etymologist. An etymologist is someone, in a sense, who studies languages. They study words. And when you study words, you get a greater understanding of who and what we are. That's why I've written, in a sense, and I've written a curriculum, and you can find this curriculum on Black history, and you'll find, in a sense, this on my Amazon books. When I talk about the history of Black people, the nationality and law foundation of Black Americans, some other books I outline this. You have to, in a sense, understand this if you want to know more about who and what we are. You see, it's always, you got to study, you got to understand, you got to, in a sense, want to know who and what we are. Buy my book, Nationality and the Law. In this book, we discuss the importance of race and identity among many African Americans. I explore the genesis of the so-called blacks from an ethnogenesis of Black Irish, Black Aboriginals, and Sub-Saharan Africans. In this book, you will understand how they were separated into two races and why we call. So again, get that book, you see. Yeah. So again, the most important thing to really understand is that the Merodes had a very great civilization. They had their own language, and we can read this language. I deciphered this language a long time ago, and I hope that you'll go back and you'll maybe check out some of my books on this, because if you check out my books, you'll be able to see that there's a great history and that we can read it. Some of the books that I wrote that relate to this whole experience, include these books. And these books include the Merodic Languages Deciphered. And these books include the Merodic Writing and Literature, the Merodic Chamber of Philae, the Kushite Prince, Akinadad, Merodic Relations with Tocharian and the Nile Valley Languages. Check out those books if you want to find out more about my decipherment of the Merodic script. Also, as I said before, Jada Prasad, she's written a nice book on Black spirituality, and in her book, Black Spirituality, she discusses the Merodic religion. So check out her book too. Okay, now it's a different subject, but have you ever looked at the Aztec contexts with the Black words? And yes, the Aztecs. I did a video on the Aztecs. Maybe I'll do it again and bring it up. The Aztecs, they in a sense, they call themselves Mexica. The real name of the Aztecs was Mexica. Ma means lords, she means black, Ka means land. So the Aztecs called themselves lords of the black land. Very interesting, you know. And many of the Aztecs, although they always talk a lot about the Aztecs, and they talk about the so-called Aztec religion, no. When the Spanish in a sense came among the Aztecs, when the Spanish came among the Aztecs, they found that the Aztecs was worshiping Islam. Yes, they found that many of the centers in the Aztec city were mosques. Yes, the Aztecs in a sense were Muslims. But again, in a sense, they give you all this fantastic stuff about the Aztec religions when we know that when the Spanish, when they found and when they went to the Aztec capital, that they in a sense had built mosques, you know. Nadi says, really? Yes, really. Yeah, really. Again, in the sense is that's why a lot of times when you're doing historical research, you have to try to check out the original sources. When you read the original sources, and the original sources, they talk about the fact that these Aztecs had these mosques there. You know, and then the people say they were mistaken. How could they be mistaken? Remember, this is the time when the Spanish were familiar with the mosques in Spain. They had just ran, in 1492, they had just ran the Muslims out, you know, and that was it. Okay, Nadi says, peace. Dr. Dustin says, peace, Dr. Winters. How from the Olmecs? No, the Olmecs were different. The Olmecs were basically, in a sense, they were Mandingo-speaking people, but they practiced the original Mandi religion. They weren't Muslims. Islam didn't exist when the Olmec civilization existed. The Olmecs though, they were Mandingo people, and they worshipped, in a sense, and they worshipped the Mandingo religion. I'll talk about the Olmecs one day. I'll probably bring them up, you know. Again, thank you guys for coming. I hope you'll join my class. You know, me and Sister Shanice, we're teaching our Black British history class. And, you know, I think you should check it out because we need to know more about Black British history.
Here is why you should join Dr. Clyde Winters and Sister Shuni's class on Blacks in Britain. For starters, we were born into a racist system of worldwide white supremacy. A world in which a minority population would control almost my very being if we didn't know that God, my creator, is Lord of the universe. Having said this, I know our life is one of contradictions that remained unexplained until I learned from Neely Fuller we are prisoners of war. 1. That you don't belong in the UK. 2. That this has always been a land inhabited by the whites. 3. You were inferior to whites until they kidnapped your ancestors from Mama Africa. This is a lie. You are the Aboriginal people of the UK. Whites came into Europe after 1500 BC. Your ancestors give the UK its long history. Your ancestors built the towns, invented the public works and architecture of the UK. In this book you learn that the history you are taught about Europe is fake. It explains why the white supremacists don't want you to have your own schools and teach your children. They fear you will learn the truth. Caribbean scholar who moved from Britain to USA made it clear that a PhD does not provide you grounding in who you are. What you must know. 1. We are the first people. 2. We are the mothers and fathers of civilization. 3. You have to protect your culture because it is your identity. The mission of Afrocentrism is to use anthropology, history, and linguistics to ensure adherence to principles and theories related to the idea that African and world history originated on the African continent and moved outward from Africa through the human agency of Africans speaking related languages and practicing a shared culture, who founded the first civilizations of Africa, the Americas, Europe, and Asia. White supremacist view of blacks in Britain. Britain is essentially a white place where blacks only just arrived. Black people had no history in Britain. The colonial connections were mythologized in the very statues and monuments that surrounded blacks in Britain. The past of Black Britons was not in curricula or mediated conversation. Finally, the status quo made it clear Black Britons came from nowhere and entered Britain for no good reason. This is a lie. You are the Aboriginal people of the UK. Whites came into Europe after 1500 BC. Your ancestors give the UK its long history. Your ancestors built the towns, invented the public works and architecture of the UK. In this class you learn that the history you are taught about Europe is fake. It explains why the white supremacists don't want you to have your own schools and teach your children. They fear you will learn the truth. Dr. Keftusa Akiba Ank, Caribbean scholar who moved from Britain to USA, made it clear that a PhD does not provide you grounding in who you are. What you must know. 1. We are the first people. 2. We are the mothers and fathers of civilization. 3. You have to protect your culture because it is your identity. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe O.
Here's an interesting question. It says, what significance of Meroitic text in relation to Egyptian and Sumerian? What's important about it is that it shows, in a sense, a continuation and identification of many of the Kushites of the Meroitic Empire that adopted many aspects of Egyptian religion, but at the same time they had their own specific gods like Apitamak, Seven Way Maker, and stuff like that. And so that's what makes understanding Meroitic text so important, is because it shows that there was a relationship between these people, and that these people, in a sense, lived a very important life, But also, in a sense, we have to understand is that by understanding these themes, you can see that there was much more unity within the civilizations along the Nile Valley, and not really, in a sense, the disunity that often they present. But also, in a sense, as I said before, you may want to take my class in terms of learning about Black British history, because originally Britain was, in a sense, a center of Black civilization. Yes, it was.
We are the Blacks and Britons, yeah. Now they told us we were strangers in a land we called our own. Caucasians who are evil knew we built this stone by stone. From the ancient streets of London to the towns they claim to know, our history runs deeper like the river's steady flow. We built this land, yeah, from the ground up to the sky. Our roots run deep, yeah, and our spirits never die. These losers are full of lies, try to steal our pride, but we know the truth, we're the builders of this tide. They say we're new arrivals, just got here yesterday, but our ancestors laid these bricks. Who's the immigrant, you say? From Africa to Albion, we crossed the endless seas, carried our culture and its secret we taught our cities. Yeah, from the ground up to the sky, our roots run deep, yeah, and our spirits never die. These losers are full of lies, try to steal our pride, but we know the truth, we're the builders of this tide. Your pasty ways lead you to make laws to push us out. We are the foundational Black Britons who built this damn house. In every brick, in every street, our legacy will stand. We are the people who built this goddamn land. This land to erase, from the ground up to the sky, from the ground up to the sky. Our roots run deep, yeah, and our spirits never die, and our spirits never die. These losers are full of lies, try to steal our pride, but we know the truth, we're the builders of this tide. We are the foundational Black Britons. We are the foundational Black Britons. We are the foundational Black Britons. But we know the truth, we're the builders of this tide. Now, you need to leave. Ooh, 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 you need to leave. Now,
That is another great video by Yoshimod the Genius. Yes, Yoshimod the Genius, this brother is bad. You can go to yoshimod.gumroad and you can get all of his videos. This brother's made so many beautiful videos. And the thing is this, is that you need to know more about the Black British. And, you know, we have, me and Sister Shanice, we're teaching a course beginning September 9th. And in this course, we're going to teach about the Black British history. So you may want to join the course. Hi, family. This is Clyde Winters again. How are you doing? We got a new course coming up. This new course is going to be Part 3, When Britain Was Black. In Part 3, we're going to talk about the Black British Romans, the Black Emperors, the Black Moors. We're going to talk about the beautiful castles and homes that these Black people built in Europe. We're going to talk about Black royalty. Join us for Part 3, When Britain Was Black. We're going to teach the class on Monday, beginning September 9th. The class is going to be at 7:30 p.m. British time and 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in the United States. Join us for this class. Learn about the Black British Romans, the Black Emperors, the Moors, the castles that they lived in, and Black royalty. Join us for the third part in the Black British History online course. Join us. You can register for the course at Sister Shanice.Gumroad. Yes, go to Gumroad and you can register for the class at sistershanice.gumroad.com. Join us for the class beginning September 9th.
We are the Blacks and Britons, yeah. Now we told us we were strangers in a land that we called our own. Caucasians who are Hebrew knew we built this stone by stone. From the ancient streets of London to the towns they claim to know, our history runs deeper like the river's steady flow. We built this land, yeah, from the ground up to the sky. Our roots run deep, yeah, and our spirits never die. These losers are full of lies, try to steal our pride, but we know the truth, we're the builders of this tide. They say we're new arrivals, just got here yesterday, but our ancestors laid these bricks. Who's the immigrant, you say? From Africa to Albion, we crossed the endless seas, carried our culture and its secret we taught our seas. Yeah, from the ground up to the sky, our roots run deep, yeah, and our spirits never die. These losers are full of lies, try to steal our pride, but we know the truth, we're the builders of this life. Your pasty ways lead you to make laws to push us out. We are the foundational Black Britons who built this damn house. In every brick, in every street, our legacy will stand. We are the people who built this goddamn land. This land to be raised, from the ground up to the sky, from the ground up to the sky. Our roots run deep, yeah, 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 yeah. And our spirits never die, and our spirits never die. These losers are full of lies, try to steal our pride, but we know the truth, we're the builders of this life. We are the foundational Black Britons. We are the foundational Black Britons. We are the foundational Black Britons. But we know the truth, we're the builders of this time. Now, you need to leave. Ooh, 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 ooh. You need to leave. Now, you need to leave.
Again, this video was made by Yoshimod the Genius. You can go to yoshimod.gumroad.com and you can buy this video and many of his other videos. Again, in a sense, is that it's time that we understand that we have to, in a sense, teach our children their history. If we don't teach them their history, if we don't start homeschooling our children, they're not going to, in a sense, be able to survive. They're going to suffer from AIDS, and they're going to be lost. We want our children to be B1. The only way they can be B1 is if, in a sense, they learn who they are. Yes, they have to learn who they are. The only thing that can save you is B1, B1, B1. To fight AIDS, you must stay black first. You had to be B1. You had to think about homeschooling our children. Yes, that's the only way that we can save our children. Today is today. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational Black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool in my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called The World History of the Black World. This will teach your children about every Black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education.
Supplemental learning for your mini. But you can learn too. Don't send your mini into the belly of the beast unarmed. Courses, practical math, language, the code, our story, and more. An institution founded by us, dedicated to us and our fight for justice. Here you will learn ways to combat the system using the same information they are trying to keep away from you. Welcome to FBA Sunday School.
You know, that video was made by Yoshi Mod. Yoshi Mod, he has so many beautiful videos on the internet. Go to his YouTube website, Yoshi Mod or Christian. Go to his website on YouTube. Go to Gumroad, Yoshi Mod, Gumroad.com. And you can, in a sense, find many of Yoshi Mod's great videos. This brother is so talented. He is one of the, that's why he's known as the genius, because of his talent. Support this brother. Again, go to yoshimod.gumroad.com and support this brother. Again, in a sense, I want to thank you guys for joining me this afternoon, where we discuss, in a sense, the Meroitic religion. Again, I hope that you've learned much, and I hope that you'll put your comments in the comment page. Put down any ideas of topics that you'd like me to do. Put it down in the comments and the section of the video, And thank you again for joining us today. And again, in a sense, you know, if you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do, because we need to support those who are speaking up.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your fears and stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your honest fears. Don't let them suck your energy. Control your honest fears. I am you. Control your honest fears. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow. I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody, yourself. Nobody but yourself.
The only thing that can save you is be one, be one, be one. To fight Cage, you must stay black first.